Hello, I would like to pay my respects to the land on which I am gathered on today. He lies upon the traditional custodian country of the Wanneroo Nation and also includes Darkinjung and Awabakal lands. I would like to pay my respects to elders past, present, and emerging. Rethinking Diagnostic Testing in New South Wales Schools, a holistic approach through Steiner education. Hello, welcome to my presentation. I'll be critically analysing the trend of diagnostic testing in New South Wales department schools and Australian department schools, specifically through the lenses of education and support in conjunction to Steiner education. While diagnostic testing is crucial for understanding academic and social emotional needs, the current system narrowly focuses on academics only. This oversight neglects the child as a whole. Recognizing the significance of social emotional competencies in students' overall development is especially important. This is evident in the growing emphasis on well-being in schools and at the ACER 2023 conference that regarded a holistic approach focusing on children from birth to the age of 12. My personal lens. Department of Education in New South Wales High School Special Education Support Teacher. I currently teach visual arts, English and HISI. I work with students with trauma and disability backgrounds, and it's a separate faculty from the mainstream school that provides life skills and moderate to intense support surrounding social and emotional learning, mobility, and cognitive aspects. So I see firsthand how tests like diagnostic tests do not reflect the needs and capabilities of the students. Starting with standardized tests in the first few days minimizes the hard work that goes into differentiating all the programs for each student. And because of their complex backgrounds with trauma and disabilities, even if they try in the test, a lot of the time there are many things that prevent them from doing the best that they can, despite the work that they do throughout the year. An overview of diagnostic testing in Australian schools. So, according to the department, these assessments are designed to evaluate the students' knowledge, so assessment for teaching, and inform teaching practices and approaches, so assessment for planning. This is imperative, as the teaching professional standards incorporate knowing your students and understanding how they learn and knowing the content and how to teach it. While diagnostic tests primarily are run by ACER with adaptive tests in literacy and numeracy, they provide a snapshot of curriculum differentiation, but their reliance on these foundational skills has a major limitation. This approach often disregards authentic knowledge of the student and fails to acknowledge the practical application of literacy and numeracy in life skills curriculum, which is probably why they have come to the faculty in the first place. So it's through a system called PAD Adaptive. It's associated with ACER and provides an adaptive test that plots students against other students in the state or country and against an age-appropriate level of their knowledge. So, for example, they could be a 14-year-old, but they're reading at the reading age of 7. Diagnostic testing origin and history. So it gained traction in the late 20th century due to advances in educational psychology and assessment technologies. Organizations like ACER have advocated for standardized assessments to ensure consistency in their frameworks for measuring student progress. However, it often results in a narrow focus on cognitive abilities only, sidelining the importance of emotional and social development. And they're a one-time only test. So once you get your results, that's it. You can retake it once. We take it once every semester, so first term and third term. But it is a one-time test on literacy and numeracy only. Limitations and implications of teaching in all school contexts. So, the New South Wales Education Standards Authority, NESA, has established key principles that guide assessment practices. Diagnostic tests should align with these principles. However, many variables affect a student's ability to accurately demonstrate their knowledge, such as anxiety, trauma, and cognitive and physical disabilities. So, running a one-off online test neglects the complexity of individual learning needs. Teaching implications include differentiated instruction, targeted intervention, and continuous monitoring, which is fantastic if that would work. But I believe that these aspects are best delivered through continual observation, interaction, and naturally occurring evidence rather than solely through diagnostic testing alone. ACARA. General capabilities and the bridge between authentic integrated assessment and governing bodies. So ACARA and the General Capabilities Framework aim to improve assessment principles to accurately represent student learning while reflecting the philosophies underpinning educational practices. So this process can be complex, but it is essential for maintaining a positive relationship between peak body standards and the authenticity of educational philosophies. So the general capabilities outlined by Akara could serve as a foundational approach to create an integrated diagnostic program for public schools and to anchor the holistic philosophies of Steiner education within assessment policy. So here I've placed a photo of the general capabilities in the Australian curriculum. You have literacy and numeracy, the only two capabilities tested in the PAD adaptive. Then you've got information and communication technology, so ICT capabilities. You have creative and critical thinking, personal and social capabilities, which is a whole continuum in itself that you can plot your students against, which is fantastic to understand where they're at socially and emotionally. Ethical understanding and intercultural understanding as well. So I believe that a diagnostic test should incorporate all of these aspects instead of just the two. Steiner assessment principles and pedagogies. Schools are not ideological but pedagogical. Teaching methods are to be in harmony with the child's nature, said by Steiner. So Steiner's assessment principles, derived from his lectures, remain open to interpretation and improvement to authentically represent his philosophy, as everything that has been placed in here and in all of the assessment principles are based off things that Steiner has said. So the following principles guide his approach. Assessment is based on student capabilities. It's based on learning objectives. It's positive, informative for the teacher and for the student. It's accurate, relies on evidence. It relies on a hierarchy of knowing. It's developmentally focused. It's participatory, transparent. It's aligned, trustworthy, timely, purposeful, and equitable. And it is difficult to see how an online diagnostic assessment is positive or equitable through its standardized lens. These principles are intertwined with Steiner's understanding of child development through age-associated milestones, including cognitive developmental stages viewed holistically, so from birth through to the change of the teeth, the crossing the Rubicon, and so on. The cognitive developmental stages are viewed holistically through head, heart, and hands, by soul, by third eye, by thinking, willing, and feeling. So beginning with imitation, followed by imagination, to modeling morals, and to cause and effect. The philosophy of learning is deeply underpinned in the pedagogical approach within the school setting. Therefore, with a strong school sense of connectedness to spirit and schooling paradigms, the assessment of students can come naturally through naturally occurring evidence. Teachers observe the students through experiential tasks, but they need and they're looking for an interpretation that ensures reliability, equity, and timeliness for teachers and students alike. Fixing the system, a holistic approach. So both systems, life skills, mainstream, and Steiner pedagogy, share a common goal, fostering independence in tasks or skills for students. Steiner identifies specific milestones that encourage independence. For example, students in class 1 to 3 engage in imitation and willing and feeling, and by age 7, they are ready for the next progression of growth, and they call that mastery of that skill, and then they move on to the next. So the intent is clear: to cultivate free-thinking, independent, and innovative adults. This raises the question of how we can achieve this through one-dimensional testing such as standardized diagnostic assessments. Life skills is the same. You need to be assessed through different aspects of the assessment outcome. You can either achieve independently, you can achieve it with support, or you can be introduced. And the idea is to get every child to every standard to get them to independently achieve on their own. And from that perspective, I find diagnostic testing, like numeracy and literacy tests, irrelevant to the outcomes of the life skills program. In conclusion, integrating the general capabilities of personal, social, critical thinking, cultural understanding, creative thinking, ICT, and communication skills, along with literacy and numeracy, can create a holistic diagnostic assessment. Implementing differentiated activities that reflect Gardner's multiple intelligences and Bloom's taxonomy could humanize the department's standardized systems and align with the authenticity of Steiner's educational philosophy. Thank you very much.